Welcome to the Home Team Podcast. I'm Carl Falconer.
And I'm Danny Arroyo.
And we're tackling homelessness.
Today in our podcast, we will discuss two of our passions, football and ending homelessness. Please join us through 4 quarters with our topic this week being, how do homeless service providers respond to emergency weather situations?
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Busy?
Yeah, busy. Definitely busy, yes. I went down to Fort Lauderdale they did a dedication for a longtime advocate for homeless individuals there. His name was Richard Courtney.
Yeah.
Great guy. He passed away several years ago. And but they did a dedication at one of the main libraries for him.
Yeah, so Katie from Neighbors to Neighbors posted some pictures of it.
Yeah,
It was very
cool. Oh yeah, very cool.
It looked like it was a
very cool.
event.
It was a very wonderful.
A lot of driving for you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's start it off as we always do with the coin toss. So, Danny, go ahead and call it in the air.
Heads.
It is heads. So you get to kick us off.
Very good. All right, so welcome to our first quarter. We are going to kick off by discussing our topic of the week, and then we will cover some new headlines. Let's start our discussion this week with our question, how do homeless service providers respond to emergency weather situations?
It's a good one.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
rain season.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Hurricane season, hot weather. I mean, yeah, lots of different things.
This heat wave that we're having, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so activate an emergency weather plan. Monitor the National Weather Service and local emergency management alerts. Determine whether the organization's severe weather plan will be activated. Increase staffing and coordinate with the local continuum of care, or COC, emergency management, shelters, hospitals, law enforcement, and transportation providers. Federal guidance emphasizes coordination between homeless service systems and emergency management agencies. Conduct targeted street outreach. That's one of the important ones.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Outreach teams go into known areas where people are living unsheltered. Staff provide warnings about the approaching weather and explain available shelter options. Teams prioritize people who are medical vulnerable, elderly, disabled, or otherwise at increased risk. Providers may distribute water, blankets, cooling supplies, food, weather-resistant supplies, and other emergency necessities. Expand or activate emergency shelter. Providers may open additional emergency beds or temporary shelters. Existing shelters may extend hours or increase capacity. During extreme weather, communities sometimes use churches, community centers, recreation centers, or other facilities as temporary shelter locations. For example, in Miami-Dade's 2026 cold weather response activated contracted shelters to expand capacity when temperatures were forecast below its emergency threshold. Provide transportation. That's another important one.
Yeah.
Transportation is often critical because someone may be willing to leave an encampment but have no way to reach a shelter. Providers may use agency vehicles, buses, contracted transportation, or coordinate with emergency services. Some communities specifically coordinate evacuation and transportation of unsheltered individuals to emergency shelters. We do a lot here.
Absolutely.
And we address specific weather threats. Extreme heat. Cooling centers, water hydration checks, shaded areas, transportation, and increased outreach. Extreme cold, warming shelters, blankets, warm clothing, food, transportation, and frequent wellness checks. Hurricanes, which is our major thing here, tropical storms, evacuation planning, transportation, emergency shelter, securing facilities, medication coordination, and post-storm wellness checks. And then flooding, moving people away from flood zones, transportation to higher ground shelters, and avoiding unsafe encampment locations. And then finally, tornadoes and severe storms, moving unsheltered individuals into sturdy structures and providing immediate transportation when warnings are issued. FEMA emphasizes moving to sturdy shelters during severe storms and evacuating where local officials direct it. Maintaining communication with clients. Providers use phone calls, text messages, Teams/radio communication among staff, outreach team, social media, and community partners to communicate changing conditions and shelter availability. And then continue services after the emergency. The response doesn't end when the weather clears. Providers conduct wellness checks, assess damaged belongings or living areas, We connect people with benefits in healthcare, replace lost documents, and then help people transition to more stable housing.
Yeah.
So pretty much covers a lot of what goes on here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think so. When I think of extreme weather, I divide it into kind of two categories. The extreme weather that is rare and, like a hurricane or something like that, although it's very, very severe, obviously it doesn't happen every other day.
Correct.
And then there's the extreme weather that happens more regularly. Rainstorms, we get a lot of those coming through during the summer. Hot weather obviously is a really big thing with us, and I think we've had more extreme heat weather days this year than we've had any other year, I believe.
It's going long.
Absolutely. And then cold as well. I mean, people don't think of it as getting cold here, but when it does get cold here, the issue that we have is that our residents, our community isn't really ready for it. Right. And in fact, we don't have a lot of warm blankets that we carry with us, or coats or things like that. And particularly our people who are experiencing homelessness, they don't have a lot of that available because it doesn't get cold here very often.
No, I mean, people think that Florida doesn't get cold, but it does.
Right, it does.
It's not a lot.
Right.
But when it hits, it hits.
Absolutely.
And again, it's not like people have coats lying around. No. It's not something we really do and collect.
No.
But yeah, I think the heat this year has been really bad.
Yeah, it has.
It is like really rough. And again, hurricane is not something that we get often.
Right.
But those are really hard ones when we get hit.
Yeah.
And how to coordinate the whole process of it. It's a lot of manpower.
And I would say that generally as homeless service providers, we probably do a better job, honestly, with the extreme weather that's more rare, because it seems like we have better plans in place.
Correct. Yep.
The extreme weather that continues or that goes on, like the extreme heat or the extreme cold, when it's going on for days and days and days, that's when it starts to wane a little bit, and we have a harder problem with that. Right. We can usually rally around a hurricane coming, and because it's an intense period, but it's a short period.
Exactly.
And we can get all of our supplies and resources together for that short amount of time.
Yeah.
But if you've got 2 weeks worth of extreme heat, that's when it gets to be more complicated, because now you're taxing your staff, you're taxing the resources, and you're constantly trying to.
And I think with those scenarios like that, you have to coordinate faster.
Yeah.
To get everybody in place. A hurricane coming, we know it's coming. We're a week out, 2 weeks out.
That's right.
And possibly moving away, which is great.
That's right.
But when it does, that's where we could coordinate better and kind of plan and work with all these local providers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I've seen some really good places that have really good extreme weather, planning and stuff like that, particularly cold weather. When I was in Dallas, Texas, they have a really good cold weather shelter system set up with local churches and different shelters and things like that to really kind of coordinate that and have that available out there and stuff.
And I've been working in this field here in Florida for 10 years, and the way our COC has coordinated things has improved so much from when I first started. When I first started, everybody was like in their own little world of planning what they were going to do, and then now it's just everybody's involved and coordinating together.
Yeah.
So I've seen the way it's evolved.
Yep.
And how we address all those different, we didn't really address that much heat waves back then.
Yeah.
And cold nights very little. And then now it's just, that's a priority for us.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's
and I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing.
So much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Now let's take a look at a headline from the homeless world. Progress is being made. This takes us to Melbourne, Florida, not too far from here. Progress is being made on Melbourne's newest affordable housing project. The construction began as a nonprofit says goodbye to a way of helping the homeless for nearly 40 years. For Katina Thayer, being homeless is her life right now. She's living in the woods until the nonprofit Providence Connects put her up in a hotel. It's a day-by-day situation. I'm just here getting healed from domestic violence, said Thayer, who is a regular at the Daily Bread Soup Kitchen on Fee Avenue. I'm safe now. Early last year, the Soup Kitchen agreed with the city of Melbourne's plan to shutter it and focus on building affordable housing. Daily Bread merged with the South Brevard Sharing Center to form Providence Connects last December. The building where the kitchen and dining hall once stood has been demolished. Construction on Providence Place is steady, 120 units on Apollo Boulevard with 36 transitional housing units. I think it's going to be amazing. A lot of us need it, they are said. They're working hard, Providence Connect CEO Jeff Noose said. We're getting there. Say a prayer. Everything is on schedule for now. We know how that construction goes, right?
Yeah, we are.
It's not just apartments, but also includes a health clinic, community kitchen, market, lounge, and fitness center. The people we are working with on the streets, we know the folks that are homeless. We have the relationship to bring them here and have them be successful, Noose explained. That includes people like Thayer, who not only wants to live at Providence Place, but work there too. I can't wait. Yeah, she said as she wiped away tears. Providence Place is scheduled to open in the summer of 2027.
Fantastic.
The thing I love about this is that we went from a soup kitchen to affordable housing.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about that often on our show here. It's got to be about the housing. We got to end the homelessness. Soup kitchens are great.
They're great.
Give people a place to eat, give them a meal for the day. It's also a good place to connect and build rapport with people.
Right.
But the reality is you got to house people.
Like we always say, provide all the services you want, but then you have to add the solution.
You got to add the solution to it. And it's got to be the long-term solution, which is affordable housing.
Yeah.
I mean, having that available.
Yeah, just seeing, like you said about construction, seeing the date of it, I'm like, God, I hope
so. Exactly. I know.
It's just such a pain.
It just goes on and on. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
I know. All right. So now let's take a look at the keys to our Bears and Cowboys winning this year. So
yeah,
we'll,
pre-season game.
Second week.
Second week of preseason.
I'm happy.
Yeah. You're doing great, Danny. You're doing great.
Really good, of course.
I'm gonna go with the preseason doesn't matter. That's what I'm gonna say.
Pretty much.
Cincinnati beat the Bears 27-9 this last week. We really didn't play many of our starters at all. I mean, it was fine. We like I said, didn't play our starters really. Just kind of rested them. So far, the biggest thing that I've been looking for is no injuries so far. No major injuries, it looks like, which is really good. We need to stay healthy. We need to stay, on time, on schedule, keep our rhythm going, get ready for that opening week with the Carolina Panthers. That's really what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
How about your Cowboys?
Yeah, well, we listened 2-0 if it was the season. We dominated Arizona 34-13. We move into 2-0. Like, again, doesn't mean anything. Hey, hopefully I can say that when the season starts, and that's actually we're paid 2-0. Joe Milton, who was the star, throwing 2 TDs and adding a rushing touchdown. The defense looked strong.
Okay,
not bad, which is what we were warning. And then Milton he was 9 out of 13 for 176 yards. He got 2 passing touchdowns. And now there's somewhat of a battle of Joe Milton and Sam Howell, and who's going to be quarterback number 2.
That's good. That's what you want. Yeah,
I don't need that with that.
Oh yeah, you gotta have what's
going to happen, but
no doubt.
But so far they're looking pretty good. I mean, they're looking good so far. So
okay, good.
We'll see what the season's like.
That's the whole other. That's right. Yes. I was just looking at that again. Sunday night versus the Giants in New York. Yeah, that's gonna be.
I think Dallas loves playing Giants. It's a thing.
There you go.
Yeah, so,
that's good.
Or it could be just my thing.
That's right. I think it's probably just your thing. That's right. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, that wraps up our first quarter, and now here's a short message about a campaign we have going on right now at Pathlight Home.
Hey everyone, Danny here from Pathlight Home. I've got a challenge for you, and it's a pretty simple one. Carl thinks he knows which NFL team has the best fans, but here's our chance to prove him wrong. Carl's Jersey Challenge is happening now. Choose your favorite NFL team and make a donation to Pathlight Home. Every dollar donated counts as a vote for your team. And remember, this isn't about how many people vote, it's about which team raises the most money. So rally your friends, rally your family, rally your fellow fans, because on August 31st, Carl is going to put on the jersey of the team with the most donations. And the best part, your donation isn't just supporting your team, it's helping Pathlight Home provide housing and supportive services to people experiencing homelessness. So who's got the best fans? Prove it. Donate for your team. Scan the QR code, make your donation, and let's see which fan base shows up for Pathlight Home. Watch us on August 31st and see if Carl is wearing your team's colors. This is the second quarter. We are getting a little deeper in our homeless topic with something we call offense versus defense. We will each take turns discussing some opposing viewpoints of our topic this week. The question we asked this week is it better or worse to have a separate emergency plan in place for people experiencing homelessness? Please remember that we are trying to show both sides of the issue. These do not necessarily reflect our individual stances on the positions. So this week I have offense.
You have offense.
You're going to have the defense.
Yes.
All right. So again, the question is it better or worse to have a separate emergency plan in place for people experiencing homelessness? So, targeted communication channels.
Well, hold on. The offense is better.
Better, right? Better, yes.
To have a separate plan.
Better to have a separate plan, yes. So, targeted communication channels. Traditional emergency alerts rely on television, smartphones, or residential sirens. A dedicated plan utilizes street-level outreach teams, trusted caseworkers, and community bulletin boards to deliver critical information directly to unsheltered populations who lack reliable digital access. Next, overcoming institutional barriers. General emergency shelters often prohibit pets, carts containing personal belongings, or unreformed substance abusers. A separate plan can establish specialized low-barrier warming or cooling centers that accommodate these specific needs, significantly increasing resource adoption. Tailored medical and mental health care. People experiencing homelessness suffer from higher rates of chronic illness, substance abuse disorders, and mental health trauma. Dedicated response sites can proactively staff specialized medical professionals and caseworkers rather than standard first aid personnel. Proactive transportation solutions. Standard evacuation plans assume residents can drive or use public transit. A targeted plan integrates dedicated shuttle routes from known encampments directly to emergency centers, eliminating transit costs and logistical confusion.
Yeah, I have to say, those are some pretty good points.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I have the defense, which is it's worse to separate out a plan specifically for homeless individuals. My first point is resource fragmentation and inefficiency. Operating two parallel emergency systems can duplicate administrative overhead, stretch limited municipal budgets, and create competition for personnel, supplies, and facility space. Second one, communication confusion. Separate plans can result in conflicting public messaging, causing confusion among nonprofit partners, emergency responders, and the vulnerable populations trying to navigate which resources are open to them. The third, inadvertent segregation or stigmatization. Isolating individuals experiencing homelessness into separate emergency facilities can reinforce social marginalization, lower the standard of care compared to general shelters, and create community friction regarding shelter placement. And then finally, siloed funding streams. Dedicated plans often rely on fluctuating homeless services grants rather than more robust, permanent municipal disaster funding, making the program less financially resilient during prolonged or consecutive weather crisis.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about yours. The defense is of people duplicating and that. Like I said, when I started here, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, it was so much confusion and miscommunication that we just didn't know who was going where. What the coordination was. That's right. It was just so much. So I definitely agree with that defense of it just doesn't work. That whole doesn't work. I definitely the isolation of individuals. That's the other thing that we did at that time when I first started. I was at a shelter, and we would, of course, we were limited on space. It was 500 people living there, so we had to put a place separate for them to stay, which was usually in the kitchen because that was the biggest space. But when it came to dinner or lunchtime or showers, everybody was together. It wasn't just emergency shelter people and
that's right.
So we kind of coordinated that so people didn't feel segregated, feel separated from others. But
and a couple of things on yours though that I really liked was the targeted communication channels. Having a separate communication channel is definitely important because they're right. people aren't going to watch TV. Our population of people who are out in the streets are not watching TV. Most of them aren't listening to a radio. They're not following most of those mainstream resources for that.
Right.
So having a different way to be able to contact them. I think the other one is the transportation. Is really, making sure that they have different transportation available to them. I know Links here helps us with that.
Fantastic.
Getting people back and forth because, like you said, in most cases, when you're talking particularly about a hurricane, we expect the people to drive themselves out of here, but our individuals can't do that. I agree with you. I think it's a combination of both things. And I think it's important to make sure that we understand the different needs of individuals, because I do agree on your side with which is kind of it's good and it's bad. Having a separate shelter specifically for people experiencing homelessness or separate place can be good because you can have specialized staff there. But it can also be bad because of the stigmatization and making sure that there's enough space and there's a big enough space, because typically whenever I've seen it carved out, it's like some small little area, or it's like, one little corner of a gymnasium or something. Right, exactly. And it's really small and really...
And I think when we were discussing in the beginning, when I read all the kind of what it was, working with those community partners and churches, and those are really essential, because the church, which is not a shelter, opens up and then it's just everybody.
Yeah.
And you could take and then you could provide all those other services.
Exactly.
And it just opens it up that you can definitely hold more than a shelter that's probably at capacity.
That's right.
These shelters or gymnasiums like in schools.
Yes.
I mean, you can open it up and have a lot of people staying there.
And what I've seen is some of the really good models is having street outreach workers work those shelters, because they know the population, they're familiar with them, they know how to react with them and everything like that. But also, it gives us an advantage from the service provider standpoint. It gives us an advantage of having people there, which we might not ever see. These people who are deep in the woods, who just so happen to come out because there's a hurricane coming. This is an opportunity for us to be able to get in front of them and to say to them, hey, let's try and get you into housing. Let's try and get you into some sort of... never been touched. And it's like, now's the time. So this can be a real opportunity to be able to try to draw people in for that shelter.
I think the transportation piece also is important back to outreach. Is that whole transporting people. Our outreach team would transport people to where the Links station is going to be.
Absolutely.
Or take them directly to a church.
That's right.
So I think outreach is such a key factor in these emergency responses, because they're the ones that just know where the people are.
That's right.
They know where to go in and find them.
Well, and like you said, that's their communication really, is our outreach teams are the communication between us and the people out on the streets.
Exactly.
And so having them out there and having them transporting people and being able to offer direction and things like that, I think it's absolutely valuable.
Especially when we coordinate and we know, let's say they're on the west side of town, we are.
Yeah.
And there's places over there that are opening up. We can transport them there.
That's right.
We have flyers that we give out.
Yeah.
All the locations.
Absolutely.
Ways,
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to Pathlight's position. Pathlight's position is there are advantages to having separate plans for people experiencing homelessness. We've talked about that. But it should be incorporated into the existing plans for the community, not separate.
Yep.
And again, it's kind of separate, but part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a smaller plan within the larger plan, because the reality is these are still our neighbors.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether they're homeless or housed. Everybody needs shelter. Everybody needs some kind of...
I think that when you work individually, like in a silo, I think that's okay when it comes to staffing. How you're going to coordinate internally.
Right.
But then everything else should be all the different...
You've got to have it all together.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. All right. We've made it to the halfway point. And during halftime, we want to take a moment to highlight an inspired quote related to homelessness.
All right. It's time to get inspired by our quote of the week. This week's quote comes from Matt Mitamano from Central Union Mission. He says, "People are people, and the weather impacts all of us in different ways."
Yep.
I think that's good. And again, we just talked about that is, what 103 degrees for you and I, Danny, living at a place or whatever might not mean that much. Sure, we get hot in our car or something until the air conditioning kicks on, but then we go to our place and we have it. But 103 degrees when you're living out in the woods, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
That's a
and I think,
situation.
right now, people that are on the street, they're affected by the weather. Let's talk about a hurricane, right? They're affected by it, and they might lose everything that's in the encampment. But we have people who live here with us.
That's right.
And we still address them and give them the opportunity to leave their unit and go to a shelter. And go to, we've had hurricanes way before me and you were here. We had a lot of flooding, and we don't have power.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we just don't take care of those on the street, but also the ones that are housed with us as well. So it affects all of us.
It affects all of us. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Well, because we have both of the populations that we're dealing with, the unsheltered and the housed already.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely so. All right, perfect. And that concludes our halftime. Please stay with us after this short message.
What if something as simple as a donation could help someone find a place to call home? At Pathlight Home, we believe everyone deserves a safe place to live and the support they need to rebuild their life. Your donation helps provide housing, supportive services, and opportunities for people experiencing homelessness right here in Central Florida. So while you're listening to the Pathlight's Home Team podcast, take a moment to make a difference, because a home can be the beginning of everything.
It's now time to kick off the third quarter by highlighting the goodwill and good work in the NFL community and taking some questions from our listeners.
All right, so our NFL Spotlight player for this week is St. Louis running back Trey Watts. So you may think of flag football as something for boys, but a former NFL player hosted an all-girls clinic Sunday at Bishop Lynch High School in Dallas. Oh, Dallas.
Yeah.
Girl Power Flag Football Dallas is a program for girls ages 5 through 18. About 100 girls of all experience levels were expected to attend the clinic. As I said, former St. Louis Rams running back Trey Watts helmed the event, and he hopes to show girls the importance of persevering through struggles. He played as a walk-on at the University of Tulsa. The Rams signed him as an undrafted free agent where he had a 2-year career in the NFL. Watts has been vocal about being suspended indefinitely from the league for violating the substance abuse policy. He's now a motivational speaker and author of the Alter Method, From Broken to Restored. He has a 5-year-old daughter and plans to give back to the other young girls. My daughter started kindergarten this year, and part of why this matters so much to me is wanting girls of her age to grow up believing they belong in football too, Watts said.
That's good. That's good.
Hey, he learns from his mistakes. And
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. Second chances. I mean, it talks about, people who aren't perfect. I mean, we think of NFL players all the time as, these perfect people out there. I mean, obviously, some of them make a lot of money during their career and do very well. But the reality is they're still human beings and, trying to give back and trying to make up for that and really come back and be part of something positive after something negative has happened is fantastic.
No, and I love the fact that he could have easily done flag football for boys.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what, let's get girls involved.
Exactly.
Let's get them how football is and the love of football.
Absolutely.
Get them involved in it. So I love that he's giving back to that.
Yep, absolutely.
And in Dallas.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's take a few questions from our listeners. Here we go, Danny. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
This first question comes from Mark. How do we reach people who are difficult to locate during severe weather?
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we did.
So outreach, I mean, that is the main thing is, we have 3 outreach staff that can go out and they kind of know the locations, and the hard part is when they get moved is how to find them, or they go deeper into the woods or into. But I think once we start planning whichever emergency service is coming, I mean, that's when we kind of have to roll out and go start finding people and go digging deeper in, and probably take some more teams and just outreach, take some more staff out, volunteers.
That's right.
But I think, and then communicate, not only just reaching them, but communicate what's coming. You know?
That's right.
There's a severe heat wave. There's a cold night coming.
That's right.
How can we give you different locations? How can we transport? Provide all the supplies that they need if they don't want to go, because some don't want to go, and that's okay. But we give them the blankets, give them more, anything they need. But I think outreach is extremely important for this question.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who know who's out there.
Well, that's what I was just about to say, is they know where people are.
Experts, yeah.
And again, building that rapport ahead of time is so important.
Yeah.
Because just showing up in the woods one day to people who you've never seen before and trying to talk to them and tell them about things that are coming or happening sometimes doesn't go the way that you planned because they don't believe you. They don't trust you yet. But building that rapport ahead of time gives you a huge leg up on being able to get out there and do that.
And I don't know how other outreach teams do it, but I know we do. And I know during our pig count, we have kind of hot spots that are provided to us. But us internally, we have, at our drop-in center, we have maps up, and we're mapping the spots. Yeah. And so we know where to go. And as those encampments disappear, we unpin it, and then we pin somewhere else. So that way, when someone goes out, we know where those big spots to go. And I think that's how we keep finding more people, because they move. And so we do that internally for us, because it just makes it easier for our teams to go out. So.
And obviously trying to get people into housing. I mean, that's the big thing, is trying to get them in as quickly as we can.
Definitely.
All right. The second question comes from Lucy. What resources are needed to maintain a year-round preparedness strategy?
Oh, let me get my list. What don't we need? I mean, in terms of resources, links is a major part of our resources. And during hurricane season, how they've stepped up to help and just to provide free transportation that runs pretty much as long as the weather allows us to. It's fantastic. I mean, they used to literally park right in front of the shelter and wait for people to board. It was fantastic.
That's great.
If we want to talk donations, I mean, it varies on which weather issue we're having. Is there cold weather? It's blankets, it's coats, it's jackets, socks. Socks a major thing. If it's during a hurricane, of course, it's ponchos and bug repellent. Which I'm hoping nobody stays on the street during the hurricane. But those are the things that we definitely need. But I think once these events are coming, it's so important for those who want to volunteer and donate. They're crucial to this. Especially when the shelter needs more help or a church needs more help. So all those resources is definitely, but I think putting it out there in advance and saying, these are the needs we have. Again, this is where all the communication internally comes, social media.
That's right.
Putting it on our website. It's so important for them to know. But I mean, there's a lot of need when these issues come. So.
Yeah. And I think the greatest resource for year-round preparation is the community. The community being available, being flexible, being ready to respond when we have that need. Because again, like you said, we'll put it out on social media. We'll put it out in email blasts. We'll put it out to people what our needs are. The question is, will the community respond? Will they be able to help us and respond to be able to help people who are not fortunate enough to just be able to go to their house and stay there?
And I think when we partner with churches and different schools all year round, when these events come, those are our go-to people.
That's right.
Those are the ones that were like, hey, we need you guys even more than ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they do step up. I mean, definitely when these events come, you could see all the churches and all these schools just chip in and open their doors up for everyone.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to the beginning. We were talking about pets and belongings. Kind of rules should go out the window.
Well, it's emergency weather. I mean,
everything should fly out the window, and the shelters are a little picky with that, and that's okay. But then they do open certain locations that do accept pets.
They do.
And they do, and those are the great things. But we got to open it up to everybody.
Yeah, great.
All right. Stay tuned for our wrap up after this message.
Hi, I'm Carl Falconer, President and CEO of Pathlight Home. Have you ever wondered what it really takes to end homelessness? Why don't you come see for yourself? At Pathlight Home, you can tour our communities, volunteer your time, and be part of real, lasting change. Whether you're serving a meal, supporting our residents, or making a gift, every action moves someone closer to a place to call home. Visit us, get involved, and help us light the path home for our neighbors in need. Thank you. Welcome to the fourth quarter, where we will wind down this episode by first reflecting on a homelessness MVP, discussing a fumble, and finishing up with our key takeaway.
Right. Yep. Let's start with a homeless MVP of the week. All right. So this comes from Detroit, Michigan. Mayor Mary Sheffield announced a new $9.2 million initiative on Wednesday, July 29th, aimed at helping hundreds of Detroit families transition from emergency shelters into permanent housing over the next 3 years. The city's new Homeless to House, pretty smart, initiative will provide rental assistance, security deposits, and intensive case management to help families experiencing homelessness secure and maintain stable housing. The investment represents a more than 500% increase in annual spending on housing transition programs compared with the previous year, and is expected to serve up to 140 households, about 500 people each year. Every family deserves a safe, stable place to call home, Sheffield said. By pairing rental assistance with intensive case management, we are helping families, particularly those with minor children, stabilize, strengthen, and eventually become fully self-sufficient. Detroit's emergency shelter system has operated at or near capacity for more than a year, prompting city officials to focus on moving families more quickly into permanent housing rather than extended shelter stays. The initiative combines two existing housing assistance programs. Number one is Rapid Rehousing, which provides short to medium-term rental assistance, security deposits, and case management. And two, Tenant-Based Rental Assistance, TBRA, case management and rental aid to make private market housing more affordable. The expanded funding is expected to assist about 78 households by the end of 2026 and continue serving similar numbers through mid-2020.
That's good.
Pretty good.
That's good.
Yep.
And again, it's about housing.
Yep.
It's about moving away from that whole stay in the shelter for a long time and really trying to quickly get people into housing. And of course, we can never do it fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And with a 500% increase, it makes me also think that not only were they behind the curve in this, but that this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Because to have a 500% increase in funding for something,
that's a lot.
Means that you've waited a long time and let a situation probably get more out of control than it should have.
Yeah. And I would love to know how long the stay was. What was the average at the shelter?
That's right.
Was it 90 days, 100? Was it a year?
That's right.
So,
exactly. And he probably had some long ones.
Probably some long ones, yeah.
The other thing about tenant-based rental assistance, which I'll share with the audience, is that sometimes the tenant-based rental assistance is transitional, which means it might only be available for 2 years.
Right.
So I love the idea of the rapid rehousing and getting people out and getting people housed and helping them become self-sufficient.
Yep.
But the real trick to this, or the real, objective or goal, should be at the end of the 2 years, people should still be housed. Right. And that's going to be a big question, is looking at this further down the line. Mm-hmm. Was it effective in keeping people housed, helping people really get to that house?
And if they've been in the shelter 180, more than 200, you should be getting them ready for these two programs.
Absolutely.
It should be an easy transition.
Absolutely.
To kind of go into the next step, because if they've been in the shelter that long and they're not ready for these programs,
right,
then the shelter's not working.
Yeah.
And it seems like some of it was and some of it wasn't working. So
that's right.
I hope that they tie all those three things together to kind of move someone on. But I love that they're helping families and kids and all that.
Getting people out of the shelter.
9.2, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
You can help a lot of people.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yep.
All right. Now we're on to the homelessness fumble of the week. Furious Los Angeles residents are warning the city that a decision to remove a successful homeless enforcement tool will bring back the very encampments, fires, drugs, and I'm just going to say garbage that officials spent years trying to clear. The city council voted 10-3 Tuesday to strip anti-camping protections from areas around Hollywood, Silver Lake, and Echo Park at the urging of Socialist Councilman Hugo Soto Martinez. But critics say the policy change amounts to a dangerous experiment, particularly at places like historic Barnsdale Art Park, a senior center, and Echo Park Lake, where residents say they have already seen the consequences of unchecked encampments. Jordan Morales, a 27-year-old graphic designer who grew up around Echo Park and regularly practices his trumpet by the lake, remembers the bad days before the cleanup. You couldn't walk through the park. There was garbage everywhere, he said. They just reconstructed the park. Why would Los Angeles pour money into restoring public spaces only to watch conditions deteriorate again? The site has been protected under Section 41-18 of the Los Angeles Municipal Code, which allows the city to ban people from sitting, sleeping, lying down, or storing belongings at specifically designated public locations. But Soto Martinez, who has long opposed the law, successfully pushed the council to remove the restrictions in District 13, arguing they merely shuffle homeless people from block to block. In most cases, it makes it much harder for us to help them because they lose their belongings, they get fined, and many times they are arrested, he claimed. Residents and park advocates say the rollback risks reviving the dangerous sprawling encampments that overwhelm some Los Angeles public spaces during the city's homelessness crisis. First of all, let me address that last sentence there. So we're saying Los Angeles is not in a crisis of homelessness anymore? I mean, the last time I checked, right. Yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah. We just went to San Diego this year.
We saw some out in San Diego. So I think this is interesting because it shows the two sides. Obviously, there are people who want to keep areas clean and areas safe and all of those good things. But then there's also, the idea that if you are enforcing these kinds of ordinances, then it just makes it harder to house people, and it doesn't really solve the problem. Like he said, it moves it from one neighborhood to another neighborhood.
Yeah.
So what makes these three neighborhoods so important that other neighborhoods should have to deal with a problem,
And we kind of see that here, and we were talking about outreach earlier, right, about the weather and trying to locate people.
That's right.
They're being moved around.
Yes.
And us trying to find those hot spots of people. And, he's talking about belongings. And
right.
It happens here as well. We've seen in the last 2 years that we've been working together, a lot of movement of law enforcement moving people away and moving people getting arrested. And, Three Bridges helps with that program.
That's right.
Not getting them arrested. But the way the gentleman described it was you put money into this.
Yep.
And now you wasted all that money for nothing, just going backwards. It's frustrating for residents seeing that.
Yeah. And I think the fumble here is not one side or the other of the ordinance. It's the fact that they can't come to a decision together collaboratively. They should be working with the residents and with the individuals who are experiencing homelessness in the area and the service providers to figure out a solution all together that everybody's happy.
Yeah, and if you're going in to have a plan to move these people that are there, bring people out with you who know the system and provide services. Say, how can we help you? How can we get you go to a day service center and get some type of service, or come see a case man? But just going in and moving people, and it just makes our population that we serve lose trust in the system.
That's right.
And lose trust in the people that try to help them. So
absolutely.
Crap to think about. Anyway, that is your fumble. So all right. And finally, here's our key takeaway for this episode. Emergency weather response should be proactive, coordinated, and community-driven to help those most vulnerable during extreme weather. By preparing early, partnering with local agencies, and working together so we could better protect and support those most at risk.
I agree. Yeah. And again, I think that goes for homelessness, not just emergency weather.
Definitely.
If it's proactive, if it's coordinated, and it's community-driven, trying to end homelessness, then you have a good chance at succeeding there, at actually ending homelessness or at least reducing it significantly in an area.
Yeah, I think when we do our point in time count, our pig count, and we see a change in those numbers of, the elderly or youth, we all need to coordinate together. Is how do we start addressing this population that keeps growing, and how do we stop it before it gets to a Los Angeles type of thing?
That's exactly right. Yes, exactly.
People moving from camps and parks and all this stuff. So
that's exactly.
Yeah, we all have to work together to not just the emergency weather side of just in general over homelessness. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that concludes our episode for the week. Remember, if you have any questions or comments for us, please email us at questions@pathlighthome.org. As always, we leave the last words for our beloved co-founder, the late Reverend Fred Maxwell. Take it away.
I'm still dreaming that we will become able and sufficient to increase the housing of homeless. This is merely a beginning.